third place. They're all Oricas. Chettilar Racing and Roberto Lecorte, who's obviously doing the same shift pattern as I am. So it seems like I talk about him every time I do the rundown. The 47 car is the fourth placed in LMP2, and that's a Talara, of course. Then the other chassis, Ligier, Salih Yolik, the Turkish driver, RWR Eurasia, in fifth, and the top six made up by Ryan DL for Era Motorsport. But he's about another 20 seconds back. GT Le Mans, Corvette, notwithstanding Alex taking a little bit of a grassy route round the international horseshoe a little while ago. I've paused for a moment. She will give us an update on that. She knows exactly why I've paused, but we'll do the update. Two Corvettes, first and second, 9/10 of a second between them. They're racing in team. Racing as a team at the moment, it would seem, and they've pulled out nearly a minute on Alessandro Pagidi for Risi's Ferrari, the 62 in third, ahead of the two BMWs, which are another 44 seconds back, and have for the first one, which is Conor De Filippi now behind the wheel of the 25, and the 24, the black car, is another 15 seconds behind that. LMP3 has Scott Andrews behind the wheel of the Riley Motorsports Ligier. That's the 74 car. Yann Claret for Jean Creech Motorsport, the 33 red, white and blue car, is in second, with Kenton Cook about a minute further back in third place. And in GT Daytona, it's Klaus Bachler for Wright Motorsport, 6.5 seconds ahead of Roman De Angelis for Heart of Racing Team. In that Aston Martin Vantage. They've got 3/10 on Lucas Stoltz, who's gently been moving up the field for Sun Energy in their Mercedes AMG GT3. It's the number 75 car that's been run by Gradient this weekend. And in fourth place, well, in fact, that's just changed because Bachler is just pitting.
But we'll see what the car can do now. And by the way, the core car is back out on the track. It's leaving the pit lane now. I'll check in with Aaron and see if that was the 8-minute stop, or if they're thinking they might have to do another one later on. What?
That's Shea Adam down as our VP Racing pit and paddock reporter, and we are under green flag, so we have gone back to racing. I was just waiting to see if we had actually had the green. We certainly had racing going through the tri-oval, and back up to speed like Duval. What we have got though in front of the leaders is some lap traffic. I think that was the core car just coming out of the pits there after that long pit stop. So they've kept it off to one side. It was the 54. So through turn 6 now, there's a few stragglers off the back of the line of cars that came back to green flag racing. Penalty for the number 82 running the light and pit exit. That's not knowing the rules, that's just not looking around. That'll be a stop plus 60 for that car. So that is going to be a lap. Yeah, that's a lap.
We're currently running third in P2, behind the 11 and the 8, the Winning Sport and Town Motorsport. That's something you really don't want to be running the light. That is a driver error. And again, he should be hit with Shea's rule book.
Which actually, depending on where you hit him, it could do some serious damage. How many pages did you say? 160 pages, Shea? Centre at the front of the field, like Duval, is battling Kamui Kobayashi. Kobayashi in the number 48 Cadillac sits in second place. It's the 5 Cadillac, the darker grey car, that is out in front. And 54 car was taken out about 4 or 5 minutes ago by John Bennett, and Shea, I think that was their 8-minute stop. So tactically, they can get 17 hours out of those brakes. They've pulled an absolute blinder there.
Yep, and Jeff Brown, who is the man on their box with the brain the size of a rather large planet, he had a stopwatch running, and Aaron reliably informs me that, yep, that's their 8 minutes done and dusted. So we have our first LMP3 car with the mandatory 8-minute stop on the pit lane.
Right, well, that one's ticked off. somebody's keeping score of this, of course, in the same way that everybody who's doing their driving is being ticked off as well. Pass for the lead, almost. The 44 Magnus NSX was just in the way at turn 1, and I say that not deliberately, just happened to be at turn 1 as the leaders turned up. Managed to stay out of the way through the Kinkets, the infield, and down to turn 5. This battle for the lead now has a bit of a gap. Next car that they will come up against in terms of traffic, and they'll catch, I think, fairly quickly, is going to be the number 91, which is the Riley Motorsports leash year. See that in the distance. They're going to catch that in the braking area of into the bus stop.
Kobayashi now, do you try and dive through, or do you follow the slower car?
He's got to go, he's got to go, he's got to go, and he can't go. And that Riley...
Quickly for the restart, they eased back, he went forward, suddenly found himself past both and thought, shall I go? Then thought, no, I won't. It was too late, he'd gone past start finish, and it was it was another silly mistake.
Just mistimed on the throttle, I think. Side by side for the effective lead of the race as Scott Dixon stays down low in Speedway 1 and 2 and goes by Kamui Kobayashi. Got a great run out of turn 6, but Kobayashi's coming back at him and will head down to the inside. He's very late on the brakes into the bus stop and takes him back. Oh, fantastic stuff. As I say, racing for the effective lead with Loic Duval needing to come in this time or next. Obviously got one more after that shit.
Well, you get 4 total trips underneath the start-finish gantry before you start receiving that black flag. He's already done one of them, and he peels into the pit lane to serve the 60 kilometers an hour trip down the pit lane. It's going to feel painful for him at this state, but rules are rules.
Just a quick note, by the way, the 48 avoided a time penalty, but was warned by race control at that last pit stop for having an improperly attired crew member at that fuel-only stop. So they will not get warned again for that, Shay. So that, if that happens again, whoever's in the car at whatever time of the race, that will be a penalty.
That tends to be called as a warning in practice when the person manning the fire bottle or the refueler is not wearing the fireproof socks. During the race, it tends to be when somebody has a visor up in terms of refueling. So I'd imagine that's a fairly easily to fix problem.
Side by side again on the banking. Adam takes a deep breath as the GTD Ferrari, I think it was a 63 car, came under attack from the 2 leaders. They're already down, away, past, and specks in the distance, the rear lights now through the onto the turn 3-4 area.
Like Dixon that was, because he backed out of the first run through the bus stop because he could see it was only going to end in tears one way or the other, and then just stole himself for the following lap, and then managed to use some traffic to just give himself that little extra gap to break the toe from Kobayashi. So that's a good couple of laps of Scott, and it's put him in the lead.
Failed after winning the qualifying race last Sunday. Had some problems. 4 laps down after the first hour. Kenton Cook now back to the top of LMP3. Thank you, Jeremy, for that. And Kenton Cook, the LMP3 on my timing screens are a very bright purple, which is Kenton Cook's sim racing colour. He reckons that he's never had anybody run into him when he's been running a purple car. So it's I look at that, and I actually, all LMP3s, I keep thinking Kenton will be driving because of that colour that's that's next to it. And Nick even commentated on the IMSA Racing Pro Series last year, and Kenton went to that bright purple colour very, very early on in whatever category he was racing last year.
He got punted off in round 1, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did, and then he went to the bright sort of chrome purple, including the wheels.
Yeah, he got eased out in Mid-Ohio, didn't he? Going around literally round before the race had started, in the corner, the final corner before the start-finish straight.
Correct.
Yeah. Amazing how your brain turns up, doesn't it?
Into the pits for the number 3. This was the leading Corvette. Antonio Garcia in for service with Corvette Racing in the mid-engined C8R. Shea Adam.
He certainly should be staying behind the wheel. He started off this race with a triple stint. Jordan Taylor got in for a double. Nick Katzberg did a double. And that was Antonio Garcia's first stint behind the wheel. So fuel, tires, and perhaps a new drinks bottle for the King of Spain.
Every time you say that, it's a shame Jeremy's not on, actually. I always remember the story about, I think it was Phil Tufnell, English cricketer, who was a spin bowler, S-P-I-N, spin bowler. And for his benefit year, the county he played for decided to get a whole load of hats and sell the hats. Phil Tufnell, King of Spin. Unfortunately, it was misread, and so they all said Phil Tufnell, King of Spain on them instead, which always makes me giggle. Test match starting this week, aren't we, in England, in India, after a 2-0 win over Sri Lanka.
Leads changed, by the way.
At the front of the field,
Yep.
just a moment or two ago, Kamui Kobayashi, who had been under pressure himself, caught up with Renger van der Zande, using a bit of traffic through the early part of the infield section, and nips through into the lead in the number 48, Ally Cadillac Racing.
Well, that's irritating with 16 hours to go. It's potentially race changing in the last half hour. You just choose the wrong way to go past a back marker at the different class car. When you were battling for the lead or battling position, you just went the wrong way, and how you went with it, and somebody was knocked off and coming through with it. It was coming through 2, wasn't it? And that was it. Kobayashi 3.
And immediately jumps out into a lead. So again, this is what we were talking about earlier on, people coming to us all the time. I understand that on RS2 IMSA radio and live in sound and vision at imsaradio.com. The Cadillacs do seem to have remarkably different performance through different parts of their stint. Kobayashi's got this one wound up. Alexander Rossi, who'd got ahead of that 48, now down into third and 12 seconds adrift. Wingrove racing car ahead of Raffaele Marciello in the number 75 Sun Energy Mercedes AMG GT3. Sun Energy 1, that's the car that's been run by Gradient, and Matteo Cressoni for AF Corsa is in third position. Ben Keating's just come back out for TF Sport, and Matthew Campbell has come out for Pfaff Motorsport and the Porsches 97 and 9 respectively. That's how it stands. We're going back to green and we'll start another racing hour now after that Mazda in race update. So back to green flag racing after our 8th full course caution. And Renger van der Zande trying to make his way away from the hordes behind him. It's not very far until he's going to catch some cars up who dived into the pits trying to make up laps on their category leaders. Austin McCusker for Riley Motorsport, I think, will be the first car that the train catches up. And indeed, he gets out of the way at turn 6. That was a smart move. Here comes the 48 car, now on board. Kamui Kobayashi in the Cadillac, right underneath the rear wing of the Whelen car, goes down, of the 60 car rather, going down the inside of Allmendinger into the bus stop. We've seen how good Kamui is down there. It's a lovely piece of driving. He has gone through. That, Nick Damon, was copy-boot stuff from Kobayashi.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's yeah,
Poor
you need a little
tyres
help
as well.
from the person. You need a little help from the person letting you through, and they're going, that's fine. But the point about it is that now following with Van der Zande, Van der Zande's got 2 choices now. He can make a fight of it, or he can sit in the slipstream, half a second behind, saving fuel. And that's the other option you have. Kobayashi may want to lead because he feels happier being the first person to see it, not having his space blocked by another Cadillac in close proximity. And that's what can go wrong.
That was the Volt Racing Aston Martin.
Oh, Aston, yeah, yellow. Yes,
going into turn 3 at the international hairpin, as Kamui was trying to go around one way. The Aston moved because he was trying to move out the way. But it's Renger van der Zande now from Kobayashi, scored in second with Albendinger in third. And yeah, I agree with that. That's what I can see on the track.
Yeah, I think it's debatable, but especially in this train of DPIs we have, it's debatable as to where you want to be. And I think it's personal preference. Certainly the guys in the middle of the train are saving fuel. They could, slipstream up. They don't need to. They can ease off the throttle. They can coast into the bus stop. They can coast into turn 1 slightly. There hasn't been much fuel. No one's really seemed to have seen the need for it. We've seen what seem like identical cars in identical sessions doing 20, 21 and 22 laps. So I'm really interested to know how this fuel is being run, but it's obviously nothing they're going to tell us while the race is still going on.
3.5 miles around. It's not as if this is a short lap either. Let's keep our eyes, Nick and I here in the Hackney Global Broadcast Centre, we'll keep our eyes on the track action. She must stay with the battle for the lead in the tri-oval at the moment. Kobayashi's got a super run on the leading car. Down the inside, there's contact, and Kobayashi goes around. Kobayashi got there, but not quite enough. And he'll have flat spotted, I think, those Michelins a little bit. Oh my goodness. Van der Zande gave enough room, but only enough. Kobayashi had to really get out of that. There was a tiny little touch, and as so often happens, Nick Damon, a beautiful run off the tri-oval. Kobayashi seemed in position, but then ran his left-hand side Michelins onto the dirt and actually pushed the leader wide. There was a touch, but it was initiated, I think, Nick, by Kobayashi just dropping the left-hand side Michelins onto the dirt at the start of turn 1.
Optimistic, but Van Zande didn't know he was going to do it and came across, and just enough when Kobayashi moved in, he then hit the rear left on the dirt, and there is no grip on that dirt, and when he then tried to brake, of course the rear end was locked, and round he goes and back, and there was a small touch, but I think what you say a non-damaging touch, more a touch that gave momentum for the car to go in the wrong way. I don't think either of those are going to need big fixes. The questions you very rightly raised, John, is has he flat spotted that set of tyres?
He may have got away with it, because he was, by the time he was on the brakes hard, and then he was sideways and stopping, so he may have got away with that if he was off the middle 10. And tonight, Nick, they are planning from the back of the race, as you said. You can't rely on a full course yellow, like the fuel cars running now, a lap on that car and straight in. Mike Rockefeller in the number 48. Now, in fairness, I think he was due that. Yes, he's spot on. They're all Nick spot on coming in. First four, all due a pit stop on fuel.
Yeah, no, in fairness to the SRP car, he was doing very well. He was a bit unlucky that he laminated coming out of the bus stop, and then started slapping around the rear deck. He wasn't down low off that one was yellow, but now, yes. So this is it 4 from home? Because you've got, 120, 160 minutes. It's just actually, it's 4 and a splash, isn't it? 40 minutes ago, John. So...
Steer green. 15 seconds to the good. And Marciello, Raffaele Marciello in the Sun Energy 1 AMG. 7.5 seconds ahead of Caldarelli, who's 8 seconds ahead of Wright Motorsports in 4th position. It's the front of the field that has our attention as Johnny Palmer is watching Philippe Albuquerque on the high banks at turn 2 again.
Should be all right, I think, into the bus stop this time. Has a sufficient gap. Again, traffic at the Western Horseshoe benefiting the race leader, and the chaser, Renger van der Zande, had to go very wide indeed. Took plenty of curb on the exit of the second Horseshoe and just struggled really for track position. Had all the grip that he needed, but couldn't apply the throttle as early as Philippe Albuquerque, and the gap's going to extend very slightly in the favour of the race leader. Also, Harry Tincknell has rectified that threat to an extent from Kobayashi. It's gone back to 1.2 seconds. Oh, into the pits. Is that Renger?
Yeah, it's a puncture. It's a puncture.
I thought it was.
Right rear again. Right rear again. That's exactly what happened before. And there is the race. Right there. Now, was there a touch? What has happened? Or is that just gone? It was Scott Dixon at the wheel when this car had the problem before for Chip Ganassi Racing, and it was the right rear. Jeremy Shaw, it had been awesome up until then in terms of consistency and speed. Chip Ganassi Racing have been robbed of a shot at it right at the very end. What drama! What drama! 7 minutes to go, and a repeat of the issue. Further round, it's just the one. Further out the track, just the one. Now, I didn't see it coming together there, but there's consternation at Wayne Taylor Racing. Or do they think, dare they think now, Johnny Palmer, that they've got this race won?
Many down at Konica Minolta. This is ours to lose now, and we are, what, 5 seconds in front with 6.5 minutes to go. They were expecting full-on pressure all the way to the flag.
Coming up behind them, but that was remarkable consistency and just a brilliant defensive
Jeremy,
drive from Albuquerque.
change for second place. Kobayashi's gone through into second place. He was catching Tincknell. He's gone through into second position. Acura, Cadillac, Mazda now. Just when we thought Mazda and Harry Tincknell might have been doing a great job and getting somewhere close, the battle has gone the way of the Ally Cadillac. And down in GT Daytona, Rafael Marciello with 16 seconds. He's not going to make that. Might have to do a little bit of fuel saving as they came in with 52 minutes to go from memory. Johnny Palmer, Kobayashi now is the challenger, but surely Acura and the new relationship with Wayne Taylor Racing, surely they will not be denied at this point. But Kobayashi, don't tell him that.
Well, of course, he was part of the lineup for Wayne Taylor Racing and Konica Minolta in the previous 2 years at this race and took victory with them. So, in a sense, he's got a bit of a score to settle with the number 10 car, who are the 10 car and crew are on course for a hat-trick, but there are no common drivers in this year's 10 lineup. Remember, it's entirely different. But Kamui Kobayashi, 6 seconds he's got to try and find in 3 minutes. It's a big stretch, and he's still got the hassle of Harry Tincknell behind as well. Harry's only 3 and a bit tenths adrift in that Mazda, so let's see whether he can offer a response. Getting very, very close indeed under braking as they head through turns 1 and 2.
Now, what do you do? What do you say to Philippe Albuquerque? 5 seconds with a couple of laps remaining. And I have been reminded by a couple of people that the Mustang sampling car got a puncture as well on the right rear. Down towards turn 1, just watching a replay there of Kobayashi going over the top of Harry Tincknell and claiming second position. 4.7 seconds. 2 laps from here, Jeremy?
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I mean, just remarkable what Racing has done here. I mean, what a battle between these two, between those two great teams, between Chip Ganassi Racing. They've won this race overall 6 times. Wayne Taylor's run it twice as a driver and 4 times as a team owner. It's been a remarkable effort by this team. Brand new switch to the Acura chassis for this season, and it's very, very close now.
And the white flag, in fact, is out. 3.5 miles to go. What a day this could be for the win, for the Taylor family, with their team, with one of their sons leading overall, and Jordan Taylor bringing the Corvette home to a famous victory in the GT Le Mans category. It's back up to 5 seconds. Harry Tincknell has not given up second place, by the way. Juan Montoya's 46 seconds further back in third, but could be picking his way through carbon fibre to a second place, depending on what goes on. The last lap has started. Where's the battle for second position? Just coming onto the infield now as the leader heads onto the high banks for the 807th and final time. Considering the amount of full course yellow that we've had, to be well over 800 laps, 8:33 is the distance record. Just shows you the pace that has been set when we have been green. And the last half a lap now, what noises is Philippe Albuquerque hearing in that car? Ricky Taylor, Alexander Rossi and Helio Castro Neves have done their parts, but it's the Portuguese driver who's been given the honour to bring it home, and they've had to scrap for it. This wasn't given, but 2021 IMSA gets underway, and the 59th running of the Rolex 24 Hours is won by the Konica Minolta Acura. Kobayashi comes home second. Mazda from 3 laps down in third position. In LMP2, they're still battling, but there's 20 seconds between them. It will be 1-2 in Corvette for Wayne Taylor, for Jordan Taylor and Tommy Milner in the 3 and 4 car. Mauro Engel and Winward Racing win GTD. He takes the checkered flag from second. Sun Energy 1, what a great start to their partnership with Gradian Racing. Phenomenal finish, drama in Mazda's storybook, Jeremy. Drama from the formation lap right at the end. They couldn't get first gear and they lost second with a couple of laps to go, but what a race, what a race. Here are the Corvettes. It's the bright red Corvette, Jordan Taylor coming through in the number 3 car. He's only got the high banks to go. The red number 1 illuminated on the side of the door to tell him he's leading GT Le Mans. He knows that, the fans know that, and Corvette Racing continue their story at the Rolex 24. They took their 100th race in IMSA North American competition here on the 4th of July in the short race last year, and they move and chalk up another W. First and second, copybook stuff.